The year was 1985, and most boys in the UK had one item at the top of their list for Santa, but unfortunately that toy turned out to be the most elusive, and as a result, Christmas was more or less ruined for boys across the UK. So when we come back, I will tell you why Optimus Prime ruined Christmas in 1985. Welcome back, and as you all know, the Transformers was a hit cartoon that first hit the airwaves in 1984. Now, despite the fact that there were some Transformers for sale in the UK for Christmas in 1984, it wasn't until the following festive season that things really picked up and everyone wanted Transformers for Christmas, and in particular, they wanted the leader of the Autobots, Optimus Prime. I was no exception. That was on the top of my list to Santa. And it turned out that my grandma was given the task of getting me Optimus Prime. And bizarrely, a few weeks before Christmas, she was out visiting, and her and I were in the living room. My mum was in the kitchen cooking dinner, and she just kind of nonchalantly said, "Oh, by the way, do you like the Transformer that turns into a gun?" And my immediate answer was, "No. That one is absolutely terrible." And suddenly her face changed and she got up and went through to the kitchen. So I thought, what the hell is going on here? So I got up, discreetly followed her and listened from around the corner. And evidently my grandma could not get hold of Optimus Prime and had chosen Megatron for me. And my mum more or less said, "Well, too bad. That's what he's getting." So I quickly snuck back to the living room, pretended I never left, and for the next 2 weeks I was left with the prospect of getting Megatron for Christmas, which I was not really happy about. However, it wasn't just me that had this problem. This toy was sold out everywhere, and this is obviously a time before eBay, so if you could not find it in the shops, you were not finding it anywhere. And as I said, 2 weeks before Christmas, I kind of realized, well boy, I am getting Megatron. And just to give you a bit of context as to why I don't like Megatron, well, first and foremost, he looks ridiculous in Decepticon mode. But second of all, my sort of school of thought was that the other Transformers I had should kind of interact with each other in vehicle mode. And having a human-sized handgun when played with a bunch of cars or other sort of vehicles did not make any sense to me. But went to bed on Christmas Eve and woke up trying to do my best acting, whereby I would open the paper and be very happy to get Megatron. Now, that did not happen. So, woke up Christmas morning, went to the room, and there were all the presents, and my grandma handed me this box, which, bearing in mind, as an 11-year-old kid, I wasn't really aware of box sizes, so I just assumed this box was indeed Megatron. Now, upon taking the paper off, I could see the usual sort of Transformers logo, but when I've completely unwrapped it, I was left asking one question. Who the fucking hell are you? So clearly what had happened was, in the 2 weeks before Christmas, my grandma had gone back to the shop and exchanged Megatron for Jetfire. Now, again, going back to sort of 1984-85 times, there was no streaming services. And I would do my best to watch each and every time the cartoon was broadcast on British television. That wasn't always possible. And I probably missed the episodes where Jetfire appeared. In saying that, it wouldn't really have mattered because what we got in toy form, nothing like what we saw on the screen. But it was Jetfire I received, and admittedly I was impressed by the sheer size of it, especially when compared to the other two figures I've just shown here. But it wasn't Optimus Prime, and I was pretty gutted. Now, I played with this a handful of times, and I even didn't apply the stickers. I played with it 1 or 2 times, and then put it all back in the box, and that box then went under my bed, where it remained until 2002, where I'll get to this story in just one moment. But in terms of Transformers, or in particular G1 Transformers, this is probably my favorite, if the truth be told. Again, this is coming from an adult perspective. This is highly impressive, and just the sheer size of it when compared to the other Transformers available at the time, this really was the best there is, and I don't even know what the prices were back then. I have to assume that it's probably cost more than Megatron, so I really did feel quite guilty that my grandma had to go back and change it again and all that stuff. But this was my Christmas gift in 1985, not this one, because when I returned home, I think it was in the year 2000, a couple of years later, I discovered eBay and realized you could make money selling your old junk. And when going through all the stuff under my bed, I was, what, mid 20s, I'm going to say 27, possibly 27, 28 years old at this point. I had no need for a G1 Transformer, so I put it on eBay. And at the time, I got a really good amount of money. It was about 170 pounds. 2002, of course. Little did I know, 2 decades later, I would be way back into this stuff. But at the time, I was so happy to have made so much money for such a simple transaction. Of course, that thing now would have been worth probably 10 times that, given that it had been played with 2 or 3 times, stickers never applied, everything in the box, but best of all, it remained under my bed for all that time, so everything was still pristine, gleaming white. So, obviously, I have another Transformer. Of course it's a Transformer. I have another Jetfire in my possession now. Now, the story doesn't end here. This is simply part 2 of this story. So, in 2019, Walmart did a series of reissued G1 Transformers, one of which was Optimus Prime. So for Christmas 2019, I finally got Optimus Prime for Christmas. And despite not coming with a trailer, I was just thrilled to finally get my hands on a G1 Optimus Prime, and with it being a reissue, absolutely brand spanking new, fantastic condition. And to finally get something I'd wanted since 1985 was a big deal for me, and I was very satisfied, but that was until I got a chance to purchase a complete, genuine G1, which I will now show you. A couple of years ago, I got the chance to buy this, which is of course a full, complete G1 Optimus Prime. And the funny thing about this is, even as I look at it right this minute, I am taken right back to 1985 and all those sort of dreams and desires I had of having this as a kid. Now, what made this one really special for me was, it was the best of all worlds, whereby you had the cabin, which of course became Optimus Prime, the action figure element. But to me, the trailer is also a playset in itself, and we have so many features here and things to play with, missiles to shoot, and of course we have Roller, which does sometimes work, other times it doesn't, and of course when on camera it refuses to work. But the point is, this was the ultimate Transformer in my opinion. We had everything a kid could possibly want. Now, to add a bit of more drama to the video, Jetfire was not the only Transformer I got for Christmas in 1985. If it wasn't bad enough not getting Optimus Prime, I also received what I consider to be, in terms of play value, the 2 worst Transformers ever made. So after the disappointment of not getting that #1 toy on my list, I then got 2 more Transformers in the form of the Jump Starters, Twin Twist and Top Spin. Now, I've always been of the mindset that Transformer is part puzzle, part action toy. With the Jump Starters, there's no puzzle element. You fold it in half, you pull it back, it jumps into action, and that is it. There is 0 play value to these. Now, since having reacquired them in the last few years, I do like the way they look. They are quite impressive in Autobot mode, and they do look great on display. However, as an 11-year-old kid I was no longer into pullback cars, which is essentially all these are. Furthermore, in vehicle mode, they are alien spacecraft that did not interact well with the other Transformers I had, which were all real-world vehicles. And once again, I just want to reiterate, I did use the word ruined for dramatic effect. There's no such thing as a bad Christmas. Disappointing slightly, but at the end of the day, Jetfire is a very impressive Transformer toy. The jump starters for play value, not very good, but for display value, really nice looking figure. So in 1985, these were the Transformers I received, and these were the last Transformers I received until 2019. After getting these, as I said earlier, Jetfire was packed up, stuck under the bed, as were these two. They were then sold in 2002, but when I got really back into collecting, these were some of the first things I had on my list because, of course, despite not being the happiest of memories, they were still somewhat happy and I wanted them back in my possession. So here we are. So let me know in the comments, were you like me and one of, I guess, 90% of young boys in 1985 who could not get Optimus Prime? And did you eventually get him after the fact? But as always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that little look back in history. If you did, please do leave a like. Make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you all in the next video.